What's up guys, Tony Montgomery here with Kaylee Montgomery. We're going to demonstrate bench press setup. So obviously what she's going to do may look different, but the intent, the principles are going to be the same. So the first thing you want to do when getting set up for the bench press and to bench press is making sure that you're actively driving your traps into the bench and then pulling your shoulder blades back and then pulling them down into your butt. So she's gonna go ahead and get set up. So as you can see, she's using her legs and her upper body along these posts here to kind of wedge herself in, really trying to drive her shoulder blades and her traps towards her butt. So making sure that you're really trying to force those two areas to connect is what you're trying to do when establishing that base for your bench press. So from there, she's gonna allow her, once her upper body's set, she's gonna slowly release her feet, trying to make sure that she doesn't lose any tension. You'll see she has a big arch, but most of her arch is coming through her T-spine. So if you're making sure that your T-spine has some extension to it and rotation, you'll get a better arch. If you're starting to load up into your lower back and you feel pain there, then that's probably telling you that you're loading into your lumbar and not actually through your T-spine. So making sure that you work on those by doing some T-spine extension drills or rotation drills is going to be key for allowing you to get in that proper setup and keeping your shoulders in a better position. So she's going to slowly relax her feet to that position that feels comfortable for her. She's really flexing her quads, squeezing her glutes, and driving into it. All right, with the bench press, the next thing once you're set is you're going to try to grab the bar with whatever your competition grip is, making sure that you grab, squeeze, and then you're going to try to pull it down into you using your lats to stabilize it. So from there, she's going to take it out of the rack by just pulling it out, just like a straight arm pull down, and you're going to find that point within the bar feels weightless. So you kind of want to move it around while it's empty. There's going to be a spot where it feels empty in your hands. That's going to be your start position. All right, from there, she's going to lower it down, almost in a straight line as much as possible, keeping her elbows slightly tucked. All right, you don't want them overly tucked because then you're going to have a lot of issues with them over flaring. So you want to find that happy median, slowly, slightly tucked in, keeping that tension so that you're able to stretch out your pec, so that you're able to press out with a little bit more force through that. So from there, once it touches, she's going to try to push it back in an arc. So it's going to be more back towards her face a little bit, and then that's where the leg drive comes in, making sure that when you're using your leg drive, you're trying to push yourself horizontally off the bench, and then the vertical press is your upper body driving back into the bench. You want to make sure that you're driving back and not trying to press it off your chest and caving in. So it's going to be here, pushing back into the ground and not trying to overextend and overpress the movement. So again, she's going to take it down, touch, and from there, leg drive horizontally, and then vertical press through. Go ahead and rack it. So some of the biggest things that you want to make sure that you're not seeing within your bench press is, like I said earlier, over tucking, making sure that your elbows are at an angle to where you still get some pec involved and not just solely relying on your triceps. If you have more of an arch like she has, you might not have as much stability. So if you have issues with stability, maybe lose the arch a little bit, and then you'll have more stability within the movement. Same thing with your feet up as opposed to them being flat. If you're up on your toes, you're more than likely going to have more of a vertical press up and a little bit less stability in the movement. So you got to kind of figure out what works best for you and what feels the most comfortable, because making sure that you're consistent with each rep is going to be the best for results. So the next thing you really want to focus on is making sure that it's a horizontal press and not a vertical one. A lot of times people leg drive and they're pressing more up so their butt comes off the bench instead of trying to press their traps further into the bench by moving it horizontally. So making sure that you focus on that. And then the last thing that you really see a lot is a lot of people will press and they'll cave in. That's either because they're not tight in their upper body or that they're trying to overpress the bar out instead of trying to drive back into the ground with the bar and expanding their chest to reach the bar. So it should be coming down, and as you're coming down, you're pulling it into you, expanding your chest to touch. That way you're in a good, tight, upward position. And then from there, you're driving back into the ground instead of pressing and flattening out. So making sure that you're not flattening out is gonna be the key to having success in the bench press, and making sure that you're able to replicate that time and time again through a perfect and tight setup. Now your setup can be done many different ways, but the things that we focused on here was making sure that you're driving into your traps, that your shoulder blades are back and pulled down so that it brings your chest up and it protects your shoulder. And then wherever you're releasing from, whether you're releasing upper body or lower body, making sure that it's done in a controlled movement so you don't lose any of that tightness, right? If she was to just move her feet as fast as she could to get them undone, then she would start to lose some of that tightness that she built up. So making sure that you're doing that in a slow and controlled manner so that you're able to maintain that position is key. And then the next thing is, when you press it, a lot of people, you'll see them press out. As soon as they do that and their shoulders rotate, they're in a bad position, because once the bar is in your hand, you're not gonna be able to pull back in. Another thing that you see a lot of lifters do on the bench press is they'll lift their head, and sometimes if you lift your head, your shoulders will roll forward too. So making sure that as long as your shoulders aren't rolling forward, your head can stay up in that position. So instead of being here where you lift and your shoulders roll forward, you're more here lifting and they stay in place. So those are the two things you want to look at if you're lifting your head as a lifter. So this is pretty much a basic setup on the bench press, some trouble things to look for, and then also just some ways to make it suit you and what feels like it's a consistent replication of each rep. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys for the next instructional video.